Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I have for you a fun fantasy build. It's not exactly a livable place, but it is a nice decorative piece to any fantasy world, and that is a wizard's tower. Now this will be probably featured into my next short I'll be making, which is the witch's tower. So, without further ado, let us begin. So this build has a very simple floor plan. So all we're going to do is a simple 3x3. And then we're going to carve out the front here for the door, and then a floor of your choice. I'm going to use spruce wood here. And now, from the foundation, we are going to build up an additional 19 blocks tall. So your structure should be a total of 20 tall. So now, we're going to go to the top of the tower and go up a total of 3 times from the middle point. And then from that middle point, we're going to build out a total of 5 times. So I'm using pink wool as a guide. You don't have to use the pink wool. You can continue to use the spruce wood logs. This is just to show you where the posts will be going in the future. So you're going to continue that circle all the way around. And then on this corner here, I converted those logs to wool because now we're building that little small portion, which is another 3x3 with the single posts going in. And then I remove these spruce wood logs. Now on top of all the wool here, or the corner spots that you have, we're going to raise them a total of 6 tall. And then at that height, we're just going to mirror the bottom portion of the tower, so we're going to create another ring around both the top and the bottom. And then for the roof, we're going to have an overhang of 1, and then go in 2, then up 1, then 2, 1, 3, and then the peak we're not going to make too tall just yet. And you're going to copy that same design on all 4 of the corners. But then for the small one, it's just a little bit different. It goes to the overhang of 2 as well, and then up 1, then 2, and then right to the center. So now we want to build the lower house. And to do that, we're going to start here at the base and build up a total of 8 times, and then break the top 2 blocks and carve out the corner. So now we're going to add 1 block there and go out a total of 2 with the spruce logs, and all we're doing now is making the small build that we have at the top, right here at the bottom. Then from those corner posts, we're going to go up a total of 6 tall again. And then again, with the roof, we're just going to mirror the bottom part. And now for the roof, it's the same thing. We're going to go up 1, then 2, then connect it into the tower. But of course, we're only using half of it. And before we do the connector, now we just need to add the floor. So to do that, just pick a floor of your choice. I'm going to use spruce wood planks, and I'm just going to fill in from all the spruce wood and across. And this is including the smaller house. So before we move back to the aerial view here, we're going to connect up the tower to make it look less floaty. So to do that, we're going to come here on the inside and we're going to break away the blocks here that match up with the inside of the tower. So you should have a 3x3 here that looks straight down. And then we're just going to raise the stone a little bit higher to match the height of the tower. So once you have connected the tower to the top part, we're going to give it a little bit of the detailed brace here. And to do that, we're going to start here with the corners, and we're just going to go 1 in from the stripped wood logs that we already have. So we're just following that outline like the rest of the build has been doing all along. And then once you get to that point, you should have another little 1 space gap here. And to address that issue, we're going to come down twice here, and then twice there, and then over, twice again. So now we're just following the outline of the spaces given. And then one last thing, if you really wanted to detail it a little bit more for more bracing, what I'm going to do is just drag these down like 2 here, maybe 3 there, adding a little variation. I'm going to put 1 there. I'm going to skip these 2 because of the rooftop, it'll be too close. Come down 3 here, 2 there, and then I'll do another 3 right there. And we'll detail that further later on. And then one last thing while we're right here, on these corner single pieces, we're going to come down an additional spot, and then drag them across. And then just to add a little more variation to this floating bit here, we're going to come down maybe 2 here, 1. You could come down 3 on this side, and then I'm just going to do 2 right there. You don't want to go down too far because the amethyst will be floating underneath. And now we can return to the aerial view. And now for a wall of your choice. I'm going to use calcite, and I'm going to build one in, or inset by one, all along the structure. So we have that little extra room to work with for more details. And we're going to do that for the little building there on the bottom as well. So for the roof, all we're going to do is sort of match the copper blocks, or in your case, whatever you might want to use for material, because copper in survival will deteriorate over time. But in the case of this build, I'm going to build the gradient. So I'm following along the calcite there, and then I'm just going to follow along the spruce wood logs like this. So you should have something that looks like that. And then I'm going to take out my waxed cut copper stairs, and now I'm just going to follow along the front pattern here like that. And then I'm going to use the wax stairs on both sides like that. And then where you get these spots that go up by 2 and then 3, we're going to put 2 blocks on the 3, 1 block on the 2, and then we're just going to use the stairs that feed into the top. Then once you get to the top, I'm just going to place waxed copper block, or waxed block of copper 4 times there like that. And then before we go to aerial view here, I'm going to have the slabs come out by 2 right there. Then we're going to go down by 1, just kind of following along this point. And again, one more time like that. So once you get to the small rooftop here, I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to follow that pattern all along like that. But then we're going to use our cut stairs like this, and then kind of angle it that way as we're running out of space. And then we're going to have our cut copper slabs like that right there in the center, staircase here, staircase there, one there as well. And then like the last one, we're just going to keep going up gradually with the build. And then however high you want this to be, you want it to be a little bit lower, so I'm just going to do 3 for that one, and then just finish it up. Now the tricky part of the build is right here. So I'm going to place a staircase there, and then one more right here. But all we're going to do is just flatten it out. So I'm going to follow along the majority here. And then once you get to this point, again, we're just going to keep trying to follow the same pattern as much as we possibly can, but it will differ because of where we are. So I'm just going to bring these over, and now when we get these gaps, I'm just going to fill them in with that, plain and simple, and then build up like that. And now you should have enough here to finish the rest of the build, but for the little guy, don't forget to put these little slabs overhanging like that. And then we'll have one more close-up here for the small roof that doesn't really go anywhere just because it can be a little tricky. So it's going to go up like this, and then essentially we're just following the same thing. So all we're doing is just making sure it builds into the building like this. There you have it, and like the rest of the structure, we're just going to use our staircases. Now this is more for the creative builders, as the gradient doesn't really work in survival because it'll eventually all just change unless you have random tick speed off. But I'm just using the mixture of different textures here and having them change as they get closer to the bottom. It's cleaner, and towards the top it is dirtier. The details can be a bit tricky, so we're just going to use our spruce staircases there, some fences. We're going to break the log and then have the lantern and fill it in with panes. But a lot of this is just very repetitive, so what you see here on these front 2 windows is essentially what you'll be doing on the rest of the building. So I'm going to speed through the majority of those details. And now for the underside here of the building for the details, we're going to put the staircases upside down with a 1 space gap on the small side, and then we're just going to place them where the log ends meet, just to continue to brace the structure a little better, and add fences here and there with different varying heights and lengths, just to give it a little more something to look at, as I always say. Now I'm not going to go into extreme depth with the details here because a lot of it's very self-explanatory. And a lot of people like to skip these parts anyways, as the base of the build is what they mostly want. But just to show you how I did it, I feel is very important. And we're almost done. All we have left to do now is the stairs, the bottom detailing, and this amethyst crystal we're going to start right here. So to do that, I'm going to come down twice right here with some spruce wood fences. And then in that center point, I'm going to come down another 3 times. And then I'm going to do that on all the sides. And then in between these logs, or the fences I should say, we're going to take the amethyst, that lovely sound, and connect them up to the top points right there, and then add one in the center. And then however big you want this crystal to be, as again, there, I'm kind of happy with that. It could be a little bit longer, I suppose, now that I'm looking at it. And just kind of make it to the shape that you want, and then you can add in the little amethyst crystals growing out the side, and maybe even some of the geode pieces. And one more thing I like to add, believe it or not, are these cave flowers here. I don't remember what they're called. Spore blossoms. They add that lovely particle effect that goes well with fantasy style builds, so I like to add these where I can in certain builds just to give it that extra aura. So for detailing the base of the tower, all I'm doing is giving it a natural look. So I'm using stone to thicken it up and making it very varied, I guess is the best way to say it, with textures of andesite and regular stone. Then I'll be using andesite staircases and regular stone staircases in different spots, and then adding the lantern, of course, as we're making the bottom more natural looking, and then towards the middle I'm adding in the stone brick where it should be more man-made looking. And here we are, the final bit. So I'm just going to put a staircase here, and then I'm going to put a door right there. And now for the interior. Now, opposite of where you put the small building is where we'll be putting the first staircase. And that's important because if you did it right, the staircase should, and I say should, line up with it somewhat as we go up and continue our way all the way up the tower here. And yes, so in this case it did work. So that being 8 tall should bring you right to this point. And now we can just continue our way up the staircase as usual. And there we have it. We are finally done. I know this one was a little bit trickier than the usual builds, but I wanted to take a little step up as I'm going to try and go between difficult and easy builds. But with that said, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And if you did, don't hesitate to leave a like or subscribe. It really does help keep me motivated to keep right on going. But with that said, as always, until next time, see you later.